Budlight plummets to 14th place among beers as Anheuser-Busch CEO pleads for consumers to think of the 65,000 employees impacted by boycotts.
A long neck, ice cold beer never broke my heart. White man singing voice, woo.
Nothing more American than an ice cold Bud Light after a long day.
Do not drink this gay ass shit! I'm done with this transgender beer crowd!
The Bud Light Dylan Mulvaney fiasco just keeps getting worse. What was once America's favorite beer now has all of America boycotting. It's undeniable that the decision to partner with trans influencer Dylan Mulvaney has pissed off the entire country. Every region of the country has seen a double-digit loss in sales. Now, it doesn't really get much worse than that. The boycott has gained so much traction that I don't know if Bud Light will ever recover. The beer is basically a meme now. I mean, nobody wants to be seen out in public drinking a Bud Light or buying it at the store. This might be the ultimate case of they went woke, so they're gonna go broke.
For all that I dislike and criticize Dylan Mulvaney, the backlash to his very small partnership with Bud Light has grown way bigger than I ever thought it would. Most boycotts aren't really that useful in modern day. To be honest, most people don't follow through. They prefer what's easy over what actually aligns with their values. But the thing about beer and cheap beer is that there are other alternatives. So it's not exactly like you're giving up much, especially when it's Bud Light, beer that really does taste kind of like piss. However, there's something that I've noticed with Bud Light, which is in this boycott and these protests and people talking about it online, there is a marked and very obvious air of homophobia. And I say homophobia, not transphobia, because for one, I don't think transphobia is real, and two, because in all of the jokes that everyone makes about this, it's not targeted at Dylan because Dylan wears a dress. It is because Dylan wears a dress and wants to be perceived as a woman, but is very obviously interested in romantic relations with men. What conservatives see when they look at him is not woman face. They're not saying this is offensive and anti-feminist. They're not critiquing it for the same reasons. They're looking at it and they're thinking slurs. They're looking at Dylan and they think, this is a gay man and that makes me upset that the beer I drink partnered with him. The fact that it was covered in a trans foil and a trans veneer doesn't really make much of a difference. Furthermore, I think this really illustrates the overlap of transphobia with misogyny and homophobia. Transphobia to me is not a real thing. It's not a real form of oppression because either you pass as the gender that you want to be, and typically this would be a man passing as a woman, and then you're being treated badly because of misogyny, misplaced misogyny, but it is misogyny nonetheless, or two, you don't pass at all, and people are upset because you're being gender nonconforming. It is for this reason that conservatives and liberals both have different but similar stances when it comes to gender nonconformity in children. Liberals want to trans them and make them conform in that way, while conservatives would prefer them to conform by just not being gay or not being gender nonconforming. Regardless, Dylan has been under a lot of backlash, and this has been going on since April. So in recent times, he's gone ahead and gone on what he deems as a vacation.
Hi, is this an okay time? Okay, surprise! I'm in Peru, and I'm at Machu Picchu. Isn't this just so beautiful? I'm here by myself, and I used to do a ton of solo traveling. I'm telling you, it's the best. If you could ever do a solo trip somewhere, it is such a good way to get to know yourself better. But I came here to feel something, you know what I mean? And I definitely have. I've done shaman ceremonies that were like 10 years worth of therapy. It was wild. I've seen a lot of llamas, and the people here are so kind. I feel very safe here.
Some have reported on this as an example of him seeking refuge or running away. As in other videos during the backlash, he pointed out that he was feeling unsafe, he was feeling lonely, that he was feeling altogether scared because of the backlash. And if you've seen some of the videos, there are people crushing or running over cans of pickup trucks, using huge heavy machinery. I do believe that he has faced some targeted harassment, but again, this is harassment from the right wing. Nothing at all to do with radical feminists who also disagree with, in general, being upset at someone over gender nonconformity. The issue that we have with Dylan is that he is appropriating the female experience and taking experiences away from other women who should have gotten them instead. He should not have represented women in sports when there are real women in sports who often get discriminated against because they get pregnant or have real female experiences. But he likes to argue that this is actually just a vacation and not at all running away.
Well, Dylan Mulvaney is back in the news today. She has left the United States because she no longer... Dylan Mulvaney flees to South America. Have we never heard of someone taking a vacation before? I think some of us need a vacation from crazy hook lines on this app because they're getting wild. But it does feel really good to have a laugh about all of this, because if you can't laugh, then what's the point of any of it? And I think I get to be the one to determine what my safety means and how I feel. But right now, I feel very cute. And I'm going swimming at my friend's house. And I hope you all have an amazing day, including this creator. And I love ya. Okay. Happy weekend. Bye. I took a brand deal with a company that I loved, and I posted a sponsored video to my page. And it must have been a slow news week, because the way that this ad got blown up, you would have thought I was like on a billboard. But no, it was just an Instagram video. And the wildest part is that they also sent me one can with my face on it. You might have seen it. I feel like it needs to go in a museum, preferably behind bulletproof glass. What transpired from that video was more bullying and transphobia than I could have ever imagined. And I was waiting for the brand to reach out to me, but they never did. For months now, I've been scared to leave my house. For a company to hire a trans person and then not publicly stand by them is worse, in my opinion, than not hiring a trans person at all. It gives customers permission to be as transphobic and hateful as they want. Dylan, I don't want to get political. Babe, supporting trans people, it shouldn't be political. If you care about me, I need you to care about every trans person.
So, although he argues that he's not running away, that it's not attempting to leave the US because of he's being scared of his safety, the fact that he posted this video quite some time ago explaining that, yes, there's been months of backlash, I feel scared of leaving my house, etc., and then you do leave to South America. Maybe it is just a vacation, maybe not, but it does seem a bit like trying to get away from this ongoing backlash that really doesn't show any signs of stopping. And again, I think this is a very good example of exactly why it's so frustrating when radical feminists are lumped together with conservatives. We're not the ones who are making you scared and living alone or leaving your house. We're not the ones crushing thousands of cans of beer. We're not the ones who are making you feel unsafe. If you look at all these videos, the common theme here is that they are men, and for the most part, they're conservative. And there's plenty of conservative guys who don't think it's smart to buy cans of things to smash them because you're still giving the brand money. But the point still stands. The idea that we're the same thing, that radical feminists are equally as dangerous because we point out the hypocrisy of saying that that being a female is the same thing as being feminine. It's mind-boggling to me that this is something that's been going on for a while, and I think that we're going to hear probably some blame go ahead towards radical feminists at some point after this blows over, or at least dies down a bit. I did want to talk about this earlier, but I was waiting for the wave to quell. This started all the way in April, and it is July, and you can still see 4th of July they didn't sell anything. Cans on sale at Walmart for $1 for an 18-pack. Costco apparently stopped buying them to sell. It's amazing how big this has gotten, and I think it's important just to note where this is coming from, why it's happening, and I guess it also illustrates, despite a very obvious difference in opinion as to why gender identity is bad, that there are people who do disagree with the concept. Although I don't want to count this as a rad femme victory, because I don't think that Dylan deserves to be harassed or given death threats or heckled on the streets. I don't think anyone deserves that. I think that there's a certain amount of decency that everyone should get, especially if they've not done anything actually wrong besides being someone to disagree with. And I think that's another line in the sand for me, that conservatives, that the guys who are committing this quote-unquote transphobic violence, they're not thinking of, this is a person, let's have common decency. They're not thinking about him in a humane manner that I would argue even radical feminists who don't like him, who hate him, are not out here wishing his death. They might wish he'll go away. I wish he'd go away. But no one wants him to die. Not like conservatives or men who commit most of the quote-unquote transphobic murders do.
Dylan Mulvaney has revealed the truth about Bud Light, claiming they abandoned her amid the transphobic backlash she received after promoting their brand. In a brand new video, Dylan reveals she has been harassed and even followed by strangers in public since her Bud Light video went viral in April 2023.
And I was waiting for the brand to reach out to me, but they never did. And for months now, I've been scared to leave my house. I have been ridiculed in public. I've been followed. And I have felt a loneliness that I wouldn't wish on anyone.
Dylan explains how Bud Light have done nothing to support her during this time.
Claims like this really get on my nerves because I do see Dylan as being at least somewhat of a victim. If you're being followed, if you're being harassed, that's bad. Stalking is bad. But what exactly do you think a company is supposed to do when an advertising thing went completely awful? They're closing down factories. They're losing a lot. They don't have any money or support to give. And obviously the liberals who support Dylan are not the ones who are buying this brand. So I don't really see exactly what Dylan would expect them to do, and it feels a little bit self-centered to expect that they would cater to him specifically in the situation. Like, that's just not realistic.
For a company to hire a trans person and then not publicly stand by them is worse, in my opinion, than not hiring a trans person at all.
Except you presumably got a paycheck from this, so I don't think you're suffering all that much because you got paid. Being paid is better than not being paid for something, right? Like, I would take harassment if I got paid decently for it, like, especially when it comes to the fact that this is, you've gotten plenty of opportunities, plenty of steps up, plenty of monetary payouts for doing very, very little. This is another one in that stack of things. This one came with a bit more backlash, which is surprising to me that people didn't have more backlash about him meeting the president, but I guess that wasn't as big of news because the president is the way he is, but I digress.
On April 1st, Dylan posted a sponsored video to her Instagram announcing herself as a Bud Light partner. The video was quickly found by conservatives who called to boycott the beer. Since then, Dylan has not admitted to what happened behind the scenes. Fans rushed to Dylan's comments, flooding them with love and support during this time.
But they presumably did not buy any of the beer or actually do anything of value besides saying, "You go, girl, you're so cute and womanly, so much support." Which, again, to me kind of illustrates, like, one of the reasons why I kind of, like, I don't consider myself a liberal or a leftist in the way that, like, it is considered in the U.S. because they're so spineless when it comes to following through with their actions. Like, if you care that much, then maybe you should have been supporting the beer or something. But no, it's just nice, kind words and platitudes, which have made him probably completely unprepared for the idea that there are people who dislike him, who have valid criticisms of him, and that crowd is a lot bigger than he thinks it is. When you're in a bubble like this, you're not prepared. Like, I'm prepared for if I ever breach containment and start getting people making videos on me or something, I can handle the criticism and I'm aware that it's going to come. It's not a surprise to me because I'm aware that there are people who disagree with me and this is what they think like. I don't think that he's ever had that exposure, and that's part of the reason why this was such a shocking experience for him. But that's just my take on it. If you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns, leave them in the comments section down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!